If you've ever had a paranormal experience, what had happened?
Oh boy, do I have something for this. I live in a house that is almost 300 years old. The running joke I have with friends is that there is a friendly house ghost spirit living here with me, because of typical noises from old houses and general weirdness. I joke that it's friendly because it doesn't bother me and I don't bother it. My hallway has a motion activated light on a timer. Sometimes the light switches on and off again for literally no reason, adding to the joke. I got used to it. I invited a girl over that I had just started dating. Being romantic, I had candles burning and one of those things where a candle heats a dish of scented oil. At some point in the evening, there was a bang, and the boiling oil just exploded, blasting all over the wall. No one got hurt and I jokingly said, "I guess the house spirit doesn't like you." She was a bit on edge after that. While in bed just about to go to sleep, we see that the light goes back on again in the hallway. In darkness, the light shines clearly under the bedroom door, which is of course super creepy. I tell her that stuff like this happens sometimes. But then the light stays on. I'm slightly flustered. Well, that hasn't happened before. She went semi-hysterical like when you're watching a horror movie, so I decided to double down on it. Honestly, I'm pretty nervous myself at this point. I half-jokingly reason that the spirit wants to tell me something. We do a quick tour around the house looking for something out of the ordinary. Maybe we're in danger. Maybe a burning candle we forgot. Nothing. I end the evening saying something like, "Dear spirit, whatever it was that I did to upset you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." The light stayed on for the rest of the night and I didn't have the best sleep. In the morning I get out of bed, the light is still on. I wave at the motion sensor. The light goes out. The light stays out. I go to the living room and literally the first thing I see is a still burning candle where the flame was sunk so deeply we had totally overlooked it when we blew out the candles in the evening. I had caught it just in time as it was already at the bottom, about to touch a wooden piece of furniture. I am a very reasonable man and not really a believer, but I have been in doubt ever since that night. Not paranormal, but I can understand how it can freak people out. A hot Saturday in summer. After a morning working outside I need a break from the sun. My wife is in the living room and I'm on top of our bed for a quick siesta. The room is brightly lit, but I can sleep anywhere. I doze off and wake up to feel something padding around on the bed at my feet. I think it's one of our cats that has pushed the bedroom door open and got it. I silently curse it for disturbing my nap. The light padding gets heavier. Now it feels like a full-grown man is standing at the foot of my bed leaning on either side of my legs with his hands. I can feel the distortion of the mattress. The man crawls up the bed straddling my body. I don't feel him touch me but the bed is moving and my body rocks with it. When he gets to my face the air in front of me goes cold. Brutally cold. This all happens in a couple of seconds. I finally manage to open my eyes but I can't move. I try to speak but my vocal cords are paralyzed, that was the worst part. I finally snap out of it. Sleep paralysis sucks. My sister had this as a kid. Took it as a religious sign. I worked at a YMCA camp that was built on an indigenous burial ground. I worked as a kitchen manager for one of the two lodges so I had to be up at 5 a.m. preparing everything before the rest of my staff would come in at 7 a.m. to get breakfast ready for the campers. Nearly every morning the faucets would turn on randomly at full power. And these sinks were a manual twist handle, not a sensor. I'd be preparing trays of shredded hash browns and the sink behind me would just turn on full blast. I'll turn it off and then a couple minutes later the one by the dishwashers would do the same. I asked the director about it because it obviously freaked me the fuck out and that's when I was told about the whole built on a burial ground thing. My dad has had loads of strange things happen to him over the years. One day he said he had a strong feeling that his mom was about to die, she wasn't ill. So he walked to her work and saw a crowd outside and sure enough it was her. She had had a brain aneurysm. Another one he had was he got up to go to work nice and early. He would run to work through a park so he goes in the park and comes out fine. He gets into work and they ask him why he is a few hours late which he's confused about because he left early. He checked all his clocks back home and all were correct, same as his watch so at some point on his run to work he lost about 2 hours and he has no idea what happened. I was never scared of the dark until that night. I'm probably 17, asleep in my room, with shutters closed. For whatever reason, I wake up. My eyes go straight for the windows, the only source of light in the bedroom. Then, I see it. A sort of dark figure right before my windows. The chilling part is not about its face but about its hand. I could see the lights of outside sculpting its fingers clearly. I reach for the switch behind me and, of course, it's gone. I'm pretty sure it wasn't real. Like my brain was still asleep at that moment and nothing was, indeed, in my room. But I couldn't help it and slept with the light on from this night on. Sorry if I made any mistakes. English is not my mother tongue. Not sure if paranormal or not, but I always think back to this and it scares the crap out of me. I think I was 17 at the time. Some friends and I decide it would be fun to go to a lake super late at night. We get there and our ride ditches us, so we are stuck with walking back into town. So walking down rural Texas roads late at night. We come across a house on the right on a hill, and I see a ghostly figure going back and forth fairly fast. I'm pretty freaked out at this point, but we continue down the road. We get close and see that it's a girl in a white gown. Can't get more cliche as that, riding a bike in a circle pretty quickly, at consistent speed, which looked fake, as if they were on a track being pushed. We get close enough and they break off from the circle and go directly into a small, dark shed on the side of the house, at the exact same speed. It was a small shed. Did they hit the wall? Did it continue into the house? Did they have really good brakes? Was it a ghost? IDK, but we continue and find a house and decide to see if someone could give us a ride. IDK, who's more stupid? Us knocking on a random house in the middle of nowhere, or the guy that answered, but the guy was about to head to work. He told us that the family that lived in that house is part of a cult and that the kids never leave the house and that they have seen some spooky stuff. Really neat guy though. Played us his mixtape of some R&B music he made with his wife. Once I was at a friend's father's house. We were all sitting around the lounge room talking and my friend's 2-year-old son was on the floor playing with toys, when he suddenly just stopped what he was doing and pointed up at the light and said, "Fix that," and poof, the light blew out completely. I'm not sure about paranormal, but there was no flickering or buzzing emanating from the light that any of us were aware of, so to this day nobody can explain exactly how that happened. Not me, but my mother. My mom tells it way better than me, but I'll give it a shot. The day of her father's funeral, 2 weird things happened. My grandpa's boss, manager, store clerk. I don't know, something like that, was a huge dick. Just didn't treat him well and was kinda a pain in the ass. At his funeral, he was the only person who had any issue opening the doors to the church. As in, they just wouldn't open for him, which I was apparently really funny. I wasn't born yet. The second thing is that as they were going to bed, both my grandma and my mom heard footsteps, which sounded like my grandpa's, as his were very distinct due to the issues he had with his legs. It was a shuffle more than anything, walking down the hall. Then, my grandma said she felt the opposite side of the bed sink in, as if he had gotten into it. IDK if it was just a matter of routine, but it was weird that they both heard it. I have a few stories. One is mine, one is my sister's, and one is my mother's. Mine. I was watching TV while home alone when I was in 8th or 9th grade. I was sitting on the couch eating my pizza, and there was someone leaning on the back of the couch. I went to look and a face looked at me, smiled, and disappeared in what I would describe as a minor smoke wisp. I checked the couch and there were no burn marks anywhere on it or on the carpet. The smoke alarms didn't go off either. When I told my parents, my mom told me her story. Mom. She woke up in the middle of the night. My dad was on his side facing away from her. Some figure was standing at the side of the bed, smiling. He saw my mom wake up and he sat down on the bed near my dad, put his hand on my dad's shoulder and told my mom to look after my son, and disappeared. Then my dad wakes up asking my mom what she wanted. She said something and asked why her hand was on his shoulder. Sister. She saw what turned out to be our grandfather, who was killed in a single vehicle accident in 1977, walking around the upstairs of our house peeking into the 2 bedrooms. I've always been told that my brother and I are almost the spitting image of my dad's dad. Near me is a man-made lake that was built over a town. People say that when they made the lake they didn't dig up the bodies from the local cemetery, causing the lake and the surrounding to be haunted. I know those are fake, but I've had some weird instances near the lake. This one stands out the most. I went fishing with my dad around 4 p.m. We tried a new spot which entailed us walking about half a mile through this big field that had grass about 3 or 4 feet tall, then through a short tree line. Fishing wasn't great and we started packing up about 7:30. On the way out we got a little turned around and by the time we got to the field it seemed to be unusually dark for the time, this was midsummer so sun's out till 9:15 or so. We had no lights and weren't prepared for the dark. We had to find our way back through this sea of tall ash grass in the dark. As we are about halfway through the grass, we start to hear what sounds like whispers all around and the grass moving like something's running in it. So we start running in the direction of the truck, with what feels like something right behind us. We clear the field and the moving grass and whispers just vanish. Now maybe it was all just the wind, but in the moment it was very real and we had both experienced the exact same thing. Now I don't go to the lake close to sunset. TLDR was fishing at the haunted lake. It got dark faster than normal and had to run through a 4-foot tall grass field with what sounded like whispers and something running in the grass chasing us.